Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's session with Deskera and SMCCI. We have Mike and Sneha as well with us. Um, and we are going to be talking about growing and expanding your business in 2021 with digitalization. And over to Sneha to uh, introduce the agenda for today's webinar.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mike, for the first section of this presentation, Mike is going to take us through the background of the SME Center, as well as what an SME needs to look out for in today's environment, specifically a growth-oriented SME. If you have any questions for Mike, do feel free to post them in the chat window on your screens, and we will take them either offline or online as they're relevant. Mike, over to you.
Thank you, Sneha and Subra, for the brief introduction. First and foremost, I would like to thank everyone from SME Center, from Enterprise, and also, of course, from Deskera for arranging for this session. We're excited to be having this session, and we're going to discuss a few more very important topics that most companies will look into right now. These are hard times, of course, due to the pandemic, but these are times when companies rise out from the mold and they grow out in being more successful in the environment that is being preset. Okay, let's move on. Allow me to introduce myself. Okay, I am Mike Krishnan. I'm a senior business advisor and a lead of compliance for the organization. Okay, I have been in the financial institution banks, mainly American banks, for more than 13 years. I was stationed in Dubai for 3 years prior coming back to Singapore. And I've worked with various government agencies like the UAE-TB, the UAE, what do you call Tourism Board, and also JKJR, much like LTA in Malaysia. Now, I am a volunteer also, as you can see from the pictures, for special needs kids, in which I'm a certified autism support specialist and a registered NROC coach. Which I've done on a volunteer basis, and I have more than 20 students basically on the spectrum, under the autism spectrum. Okay, let's move on. All right. Now, a bit more about the SME Center at SMCCI. As a partner of Enterprise Singapore since 2006, okay, we have worked closely with aspiring entrepreneurs, with SMEs, regardless of whatever size that they fall into, in building up their portfolios, in tapping on grants, and of course in building up what they call the whole capability as a company here in Singapore. Okay. We do have a video right now about Enterprise Singapore. However, in interest of the time, I think it's best we'll skip this introductory video and move forward with the content. And if we do have enough time at the end of the session, I'll replay it. I hope you guys don't mind. Okay, thank you so much. All right, so basically our roles and services here under the SME Center is we do complementary one-to-one business advisories. We do diagnostics and assessment. We do workshops and seminars. We do group-based upgrading. We are basically a one-stop service to help SMEs in the relevant and to be competitive amidst the backdrop of the challenging global economic landscape. Now, you may be asking, are we consultants? Do you charge? No, everything is free. We are essentially public service in which we are an arm of Enterprise Singapore, as you can see very clearly. And feel free to reach out, in which we will leave a lot of our information at a later basis, okay, on how you can reach out to us and how we can assist you, business owners, in getting the right channel of assistance, in approaching the right agencies, in business matching, and all of the other mentioned roles and services as indicated on the page. Okay, now a bit more about the diagnostics and assessment. Okay, what we're going to do is we can identify companies. Okay, we first and foremost we identify, examine the business structure, examine its strategies. Then, of course, we can recommend our findings, right? We can create action plans for the companies to adopt. These are important where companies are able to first and foremost identify the gaps, and then from there implement this into action plans. Then from there we can do partnerships. We embark on a journey, for your growth. Personally, I've indicated some case studies at the end of this session, right? In which I know I can be a bit talkative, so I will try to skim through as much as, because my slides are consisting to close to over more than 50 pages, and we don't have much time, so I will just pinpoint the more important sessions, right? The more important details that you probably want to see. All right, let's move on. Okay, so again, about the diagnostics, these are the few types that we've given also. However, we do specialize in one BCP taken from ISO 22301. Okay, it's a business continuity planning. It's where companies identify contingency plannings, and especially during a pandemic like this, we'll probably need to actually see through the gaps that the company, in terms of operational, in terms of flow, in terms of issues they may have with their vendors or the suppliers, in terms of the continuity process that the company has. So in which I will elaborate at the end of the session also. Now, we have been adopting more than 37,000 advisories. We have assisted, and we have done more than 60 group-based upgrading projects. Now, pertaining to group-based GBUs, in this sense, you probably ask me, what is this? So basically what the GBU in a nutshell is how we are going to approach certain industries. So for example, let's take the nightlife industry for as an example. So the nightlife industry was badly affected during the pandemic, where a lot of pubs and bistros and eateries are stopped, are not being able to operate due to the restrictions as given by the government. So there is a huge potential for a group-based upgrading to assist these companies, okay, under this sector. So in a nutshell, GBUs are attention on certain centric industries in which we plan to actually build and, of course, keep them afloat during these hard times. All right, let's move on with the next landscape. Okay, so now the whole enterprise landscape in Singapore consists of these details, right? Okay, as you can see from the statistics, is 65% of large entities contributes to the country's GDP, right? And then there's 8,000 medium enterprises, which contributes 20%, and small enterprises, which contributes 10%, right? So there are also subcategories of micro enterprises, okay? But you can see in terms of the employees number there, that's very important. That indicates the number of people being hired by these industries. And we are very concerned, especially in these hard times, especially if you look into more hard impacted countries, more devastated impacted countries, where lots and lots of people lost their jobs. Let's take Malaysia, for example. There's a huge statistics that shows what we call unemployment rising by tenfolds, by percentage. Okay, so this is just a layout of what the enterprise landscape. So now we're probably going to be going into the presentation details by far. Okay, so what should business leaders focus on now? Okay, this is a question that most participants right now over hearing over us live here right now, we're probably asking, what do we do now, right? What about a recovery process? So what most successful companies will look into, even though that this data is taken in Gartner in 2019. However, there was a pandemic study in which I will relay on the next page. So as you can see, right, the growth potential is always the highest, which consists of 53%, right? And the second highest is 32%, which is IT-related products, right, or services, or solutions in that sense. So a lot of emphasis are being focused into by successful companies, and how they approach this topic is to look into these areas, right? So when we mention growth, you probably ask me, Mike, what's growth? Is growth in terms of capital, in terms of growth of my workmanship, in terms of hiring, in terms of my expansion? Yes, growth is in general, not talking about structural development, not talking about landmass or acquisition, but growth is actually much more in terms of revenue, acquisition, partnerships, reach. So these are much more what is being relayed under growth. So as you can see, this is the second source taken by SuperOffice. It's also stipulated what they call the same data that is being derived. Now, as you can see from each and every slides later when we move on, I've indicated the link below, right, for your referral studies, and this what they call use as a referral point to conduct this what they call talk. And what they call, don't worry, you're probably asking me, because we have a lot to cover, you're probably asking, Mike, so how do I get this? These slides are accessible after this session. We'll be kindly reach out to us and we can share these details in what they call in person. Right, we can send this email so you can actually do more research in what your company may need. All right. Okay, so now this is a very, very important topic, hopes for technology. I think a lot of companies are emphasizing this and wanting to look into how and the type of solutions, right? The type of technology they should look into, because a lot of emphasis has been given, a lot of push has been supported by the government on this topic. So one of the benefits of having a more comprehensive technology is to analyze customer data. Now, a lot of companies fail to see this. Okay, there's transactional data about service and product, right? Web behavior data, right? A lot of companies use this through Google Docs, for example, or the Google Survey, right? Now, but the word here used is analyze customer data. So spending patterns should be taken into place. Loyalty programs should be taken into place. So these are important things to consider, right? Okay, not only sending out a survey and say, oh, we're going to collect this data from you. That is only an overview, but we are much more concerned about the spending pattern, where they spend, where they go, how they spend, what channel they use. So this would help companies to actually build up their what they call loyalty program. And then later I'll explain what's the difference between a referral and a loyalty program. Okay, let's move on. Now, second is digital transformation. There are four components mainly in digital transformation. First is HR. Second is sales. Third is accounting, and fourth is marketing, right? So let's talk about HR first, right? So with these restrictions, as working at home being a default, as you can see from my background, I'm working from home right now, and apologize for my tone because I've just gotten my jab, and I'm actually on the I'm not feeling so well. So coming back to HR, right? So you can see that now companies are able to manage their teams better, right? There's HRMS that they can adopt to in compiling and helping them manage their portfolios, their leave. Okay, now that's a very big component. So more and more companies are moving into that direction. Now sales, coming back to sales now. CRM softwares, right? So there's a few good CRM softwares out there which can help company identify, like what we have mentioned previously prior in the first page, right? To analyze their customer behavior, the demographics, right? I think these are important factors that should be adopted in most operational in businesses in Singapore. Now, accounting is very clear-cut, right? So there are cloud-based accounting softwares you can use and etc. to adopt it to create a level of transparency, better transparency for the companies. And last but not least is marketing, right? So I believe, right, each and every company here that is listening over here as live here on YouTube has shared that they've used a form of email marketing before. They are exposed to it. They may not use it, but they're exposed to it. They get potential leads from there. They are advised to do it. So these are very, very important power systems which should be adopted in due time. Okay. Now, in the interest of time, I'm sorry that I have to skim through some of the details, but don't worry, because we have an end of session, you can you can type in the questions there, then we'll raise all of the issues. Because the things that we're going to cover also covers grants on a later stage of this presentation. Now, data-driven. Okay, this word is being used very rapidly these few days. Most companies make decisions based on their whim. Most older companies, right? If you can see the trends of older companies, And when the second generation takes over, when their sons take over, or their daughters take over the business, they are more they're more prepared. They understand better about the decision making that needs to be done because they are data driven, comparative to the older companies where they base on their instinct, which is entirely not wrong. However, to build up to build up its portfolio, to build up its strength towards this decision making, it's important to obtain certain data driven, and you can actually view it from ltis.ru. These are certain links that I've indicated below for your benefit. Okay. This is a very clear and very easy topic, easier said to be done, right? Research the competition. It's easier to say, oh, know who your competitors are. Keep your enemies closer, but it's not as easy as it sounds. So there is there are tools out there that you can gather that identify your potential competitors, because there are a lot of business moving around. There are a lot of strategies that are changing. Markets are changing. And it's important to research the competition, to know where you stand amongst the industry, and actually to move forward and to maneuver yourself best equipped based on your own internal capability. All right. Now, I shared earlier just now about referral and loyalty. So these are two important differences. Okay. As you can see, it's stipulation. All right. Respectively. In a nutshell, all right, referrals are like what you say. If I'm buying a washing machine, for example, and I use the washing machine, I think it's good, so I'll refer to my cousin and say it's a good washing machine, refer it, go and buy it from Mr. Tan from Best Denki, for example, and then just buy it, etc. But loyalty is different. Loyalty is where, like points, like McDonald's does it very well, right? Nike does it very well, Adidas does it. So these are huge companies with very strong ironclad loyalty programs where it keeps the customer coming back for more. I get points. Lazada, for example, does it very well also. So and all the other shopping sites, right? So where you create that pull factor, not a push factor, the pull factor where customers keeps coming back and so. So these are all able to be created by the CRM and technologies that you may want to adopt in due time. Okay. Now, identifying new opportunities. So, as you can see, a lot of eateries out there, for example, right? A lot of companies say, oh, I'm opening a shop. I am building up a new opportunity. I'm creating my own delivery platform right now. Okay. I'm creating my own payment gateway, for example. So that's an extension of services, if you ask me. Okay. That's not identifying new opportunities. Those are much more, you're creating your survival. You're creating your main core product, right? And you're extending it to another channel of service, in which I will explain further later in the other slides. The main difference between identifying new opportunities, pivoting, and of course, what they call seeing where you fall into, okay? Whether be it R&D is needed, right? Venture capitalism, right? Strategic allocations or venturing outside of Singapore. Okay, so these are named some what call opportunities that they may be applicable. Okay, now this word is a very strong and very popular word that is being used recently. Pivot, right? So, like I shared in the previous slide, pivoting. When an eatery or F&B business, they said, oh, I'm extending my services now with Grab, for example. You can buy my items online, I can deliver it to your house. That is considered an extension of services. That's not pivoting. I will raise a case study at the end of the session to indicate a company and how they truly pivot and how they change the whole structure, and they are being identified by Business Times, and Zaobao and a few other articles that I've also attached later. All right. So why pivot? Why is this important? Right. Okay. There's a very strong saying by Warren Buffett. If you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you will work until you die. So these are passive income, right? So passive income is where the reason why investments or companies that needs to have a passive income is very important, so they can keep right? Moving forward and venturing into new markets and building up opportunities for the company, right? So they can scale quickly. Okay, they can get more resources on this, right? So this is important. You're probably asking me how. My core business is this. How do I make my passive income? How do I build this new channel, this new road path or new roadmap for the company? That's where I advise you to come and speak to us. We are experienced in this field, and we are able to help you navigate you basically moving towards that route. Okay. Now, as we mentioned about utilization, okay, there is a grant out there about expansions under MRA grant. All right, you probably ask. So some of the questions that you may ask, can I expand internationally? Okay, what does it take for me to go into Malaysia, for example? Right? Okay, what's the quickest way? All right, what's the most cost effective way, the cheapest way in that sense? So these are the questions that we are able to identify later. We're able to explain further. And now there are a list of supportable activities under the MRA grant. Okay, unfortunately I won't be able to have the time to share it with you today in today's session. However, feel free to contact us and we'll let you know accordingly on this list of expansion activities. Okay. Now, finding new markets is also the same in how we identify existing markets, products, customers, right, and create. So this is much more on how the merits comes in, how the growth for a company is being implemented, right? Especially in this post-pandemic world, right? A lot of companies, they find stagnant. They are very stagnant in their growth right now. They are unable to expand due to many reasons: lack of workers, not enough supply. The supply is, for example, stuck in the borders. All right. Low interest level in their low sales, right? So they are unable to move forward from there. So it's identifying, moving forward from there, and not hitting the wall again and again and again, and probably have the same results, wanting for the same results. So we are here to assist you to pivot towards the other industries, other potential products and services that you may want to supply with. Okay. Now, there's a 4P of marketing, right? Product, promotion, price, and placement. I have highlighted and put a star under placement because I believe that promotion, product, and price are stagnant, right? These are variables that can't be stretched out too much, but placement can, right? Placement as in distribution. This is an issue that is right now due to logistical restrictions by the pandemic, right? So placement should be your focus, okay? Especially for those industries supplying goods and services. So you must be able to place your product in where it's more accessible, where it's reachable, where companies are able to extract it and adopt it accordingly. Okay. Now, details to consider after COVID. This is a very, very important area in which we are targeting existing customers. Okay, some of the details are given, like I mentioned, the links. I'm not going to go too much also because I've touched base on loyalty programs and CRM. So I'm just going to move on and to create this new topic of which is very eye-catching, I presume. I hope so. I quit. So a lot of you may be asking me, what? Quit the business, quit my operations, right? I quit. It's a very strong, very frontal word. I would like to explain further, right? So now more than 40%, these are taken from Today Online, of Singaporean workers quit job during the lack of skill training, right? And especially during this pandemic, right? A lot of jobs are being let go. A lot of companies are downsizing. They're letting go their staff. So before, a lot of more and more workers and laborers and skilled workers, more and more Singaporeans are very well equipped right now. They do a lot of online. They know where their market is. They know how much value their work is. So they are being affected, right? So under SBR also, it's mentioned that a lot of companies should retain, right? Because if the highest asset for the company is your workers, right? So do take care of your workforce, right? Okay, digital skills for executives are offered under WSG programs, under the other government ATCs, authorized training centers. You can, of course, and these are subsidized highly also. So do take a look into importance, because once you lose your workers, you not only lose the loyalty of your workers, the skill, but all the training, and you have to start renewing them. It's more cost. The turnover is going to create that what do you call the snowballing effect, where companies find it very difficult to cope with. So there's proverbs, as you can hear. I like proverbs because they have always bring me a lot of meaning. Okay, if you want 1 year of prosperity to grow grain, and if you want 10 years, grow trees, right? Okay, so if you want 100 years of prosperity, grow people. There's a Chinese proverb taken. I think this brings a lot of meaning. So what they call, you can grow grain to survive for a short period, but if you want a longer period, grow your workforce. Okay, keep them what they call equipped. Then they'll be more loyal. Okay, to you. I think the Japanese has done this very well, and they have adopted certain loyalties where companies are sticking with their companies from leaving. All right. Okay. Sabotaging yourself. So this is another topic that a lot of companies fail to see, and essentially, in a way, shoot themselves in the foot, right? When they are expanding, or when they are growing, or when they're penetrating a new market, right? So the topic here is sabotaging innovation, right? So you must not discourage your creativity within the team. Okay, rushing evaluation, that's very, very important. A lot of projects are rushed. Everything is now. The bosses want. So take your time, push yourself on a more comfort level. Okay, now criticizing yourself. Okay, de-risk innovation ideas. Now stop acting like, we understand that most business owners, they have been in the industry, they've known all, but I've seen a lot of companies, when they adopt new solutions, when they start moving or pivoting, and they still act like they know it all, right? They still act like, oh, I know everything, I'm in this industry. That's not true, right? The best, most successful companies always start off like a startup company, in which my next slide will, of course, mention also. Now, as I shared earlier, during our business continuity plan template taken under ISO 22301, this is for companies to achieve anti-fragility. This is important, right? So anti-fragility is where companies protect themselves from threats, right? You identify certain gaps that we need to address so you can actually continue your business, all right? So do, again, like I say, contact us, and we are more than happy to share this template, and we are more than happy to run through the diagnostics with each and every one of you. Okay, now shape. Okay, what is shape? Like I said just now also, just a few minutes ago, about startup mindset. This is important. Okay, and S for startup, H for human at core, which will also emphasize, A for acceleration of digital, which is also one of the main topics today, right? P, purpose-driven playbook, which is also under loyalty programs and all the CRM solutions that you may want to, ecosystem and adaptability. This is a very important component, right? So coming back to the shape, what they call abbreviations. Now, agility and accountability under mindset, okay, startup mindset, because smaller startup companies, they communicate better. They touch everything, right? They don't say, okay, the accounts do the accounts. No, the bosses, people from operations, people from sales also do the accounts. But that type of mindset needs to be changed. That type of system or internal process needs to be changed by most companies. Human at the core, of course. You need to know where people and how, what does this few individual work best, how they contribute. A salesperson may be doing better at doing branding rather than sales, and a person from accounting may be doing better in sales. So you may want to look into the amalgamation and the sharing. Now, acceleration of digital tech and analysis, we'll let Deskera explain that further, because they have the know-how. They are more in depth about the solutions out there, and they are more in tune with what the market needs right now. Purpose-driven, I'm not going to touch that also. Okay, ecosystem adaptability. This is where I would like to share a bit more about non-traditional collaborations, right? So let's take, for example, collaboration between Coca-Cola and McDonald's. They have been there for years and years and years. When you go have your Big Mac, it always comes with. So that is a traditional cooperation. Let's take something untraditional. Let's take something different, like Nest and Google, right? So Nest is the IT product manufacturers, where they are much more for smart home technologies, and Google have pivoted their business into the smart home industry. So they've amalgamated. Now they call themselves Google Nest. Okay, it's much more of an acquisition. Actually, I wouldn't say a collaboration, but initially it started off as a collaboration, right? Because there's a good formula. Then I'll discuss this later also. And of course, we'll need to see each and every case of the companies that we are being advised with. Then we can actually do the case study and say how you should collaborate with certain industries. Okay. The future of work, I think embracing it, right? So remotely, okay, communications, collaboration tools, these are things. I'm not going to touch too much about this, okay? There are certain information that I derived down there. I think these are fairly known by most people. Everyone in most business owners really understand the impact and would understand that how important they must embrace this. They must adopt this new future of working right now, okay? Bosses, workers, from top to down, they have to change the way that the mindset, the culture, the behavior of it. And I think I'm so happy to see a lot and more companies are embracing it. Okay, certain European nations have also adopted the 4-day, 3-day weekend, 3-day weekend policies, where more staff are given more time to be at home, and productivity levels seems to be improving. So I do hope that that will be implemented in Singapore also. Okay, let's move on. All right. So how to grow, right? Okay. Again, these are using data analytics. These are learning at scale. You need to foster value creation. I've added some details on the SAP, in which they have focused very, very clearly and very, very well in capturing and identifying this. Now, the transformation is not easy, right? So this is a very long process, right? So the decision-making velocity in that sense is not only saying that, oh, should I go to this route? No, it's to say that the reason why I'm going to this route is because I'm supported by this data, right? And this data push me to be learning the scale of how I can adopt new customers, building up new products, going into a new sector, you see? So this is not a one-time thing. It's a long process in which we are here. We are not a one-time advisory. We're not a one-stop per se, one-time advisory. We are here. We've been working with companies for years and years and years. We've seen them growing from a home-based business to having 4 to 5 stores out there. So we are here in holding your hands in growing. Okay. Now, this is going to be a very, very interesting topic in terms of grant acquisition. So the overview of the assistance provided under Enterprise Singapore, okay, and facilitated by us is the PSG, which is one of the most popular grants in Singapore. PSG is Productivity Solutions Grants. So these grants consist of much more to pre-approve the pre-approved scope environment. So you can either purchase equipment or solutions or both under this environment. The EDG is much more of emphasizing. So the difference between the PSG and the EDG is vast, where EDG are much more niche. So for example, that if you have purchased a HRMS, but you want to amalgamate your HRMS with your CRM, right? So that probably consists of certain development works, and that's where comes Enterprise Development Grant, right? The Emerging Technologies Program, I'm not going to elaborate too much for now, okay? But you can get more information under the govassist.govbusiness.gov.sg. So these are more information that you can derive, in which I will share further about the criteria respectively. Now, okay, so coming back to the qualifying criteria, right? So you do need to have a company that's registered here under ACRA, right? And you have to have at least 30% local shareholdings and a group annual sales turnover not more than 100 million, right? Okay, and not having more than 200 employees. Now you're probably asking me, you say, Mike, I'm a security company. I have more than 300 what they call staff. Okay, they are laborers. They are security guards, right? So do I not qualify for this grant? No, right? Because it says, oh, so you still qualify as a security company. I've shared. You still qualify for this grant under this scope. Okay. However, there are certain documents and you need to submit under the BGP, and that's where our application is done. Okay, business grant portal. All right. So this is how the what they call government assistance directory is going to look like. There's an e-advisor portion. You can click there. Of course, don't worry. If I'm you, it's easier for me to speak to someone that will elaborate it, right? If we're going to search on that, because things can get a lot messy. There's a lot of information, and I think this is a normal reaction in the public, in which we have identified. Also, we've heard plenty of businesses coming back to us and say, Mike, there's too many information. I'm overwhelmed. Mike, there's too much coming in and coming out. So that's where I really advise you to come and speak with us. That will help you identify it by cluster. Okay. Now, again, about the Product Solutions grants. So these are first adoption under sector specific, right? Okay. There is a pre-scope, what they call supportable solutions out there, right? So you can actually go through the list, all right? Or you can call us, and then we'll let you know how you can actually search for the best solutions for you. Now, we understand a lot of companies come up to us and say, do I really need a CRM, Mike? Do I really need, right? So then, yes, it's good that you come up to us that you probably don't need, because you have probably like maybe 50 clients, right? So then we'll identify certain other solutions that you may need. So you are probably having that mindset of looking from the internal point, but we are looking from an external point, okay? From a coverage, that to see whatever assistance that you may be able to tap for, okay? Now, then you're probably asking me, for those who have already been adopted tech solutions, I've already adopted, I already have my solutions, I already have all of this in place, right? Now, I think it's not about adopting and usage. It's about refocusing your efforts, I think that's very important. So as you can see from the structure down there, it says align on why you have adopted, prepare for cultural change, right? Start small but strategic. That's a very, very important point. Map out technologies. The technologies may come into different clusters, and how it affects your operation comes differently, right? Seek out partners and enterprise expertise, and gather feedback and refine. That's a very important. The most important of all, point 1 to point 7, is scale and transform, right? Because this is where you're going to improve the process. You're going to embrace these changes. You're going to move yourself and mold. You're going to come out from your mold and say, I'm going to operate it this way now. I'm not going to go through it. Oh, I'm getting this information. This information is going to help me propel myself. So this is where I really recommend you to look into this and probably have a judgment call, right? Talk within your company and see how you can move forward from this. Okay. These are the questions that you should ask yourself, right? The 8 essential innovations. So this is taken from McKinsey, which is I do a lot of research on McKinsey and how they strategize companies. They are one of the best, right? So in that sense, they've identified these are the sectors, aspire, choose, discover, evolve, accelerate, scale, extend, mobilize. These, when we give terminologies, it's easier to say than done. But let's take the questions. Let's take one question from Discover. Okay, so do you have differentiated what you call actionable customers, business, market, technology insights, translate them into winning value propositions? All right. So this is a very tough question to ask. Okay. So let's take another one. Okay. Are your people under mobilized? Are your people motivated, rewarded, and organized to innovate repeatedly? Okay. I think coming back to that question that I just posed, I think most companies, they can say, oh, I treat them well. I pay them salary. I give them holidays. But are they innovative? Do they contribute? Or they're just doing that because they have a KPI to meet? Or they're just doing that, because if I don't do that, I might lose my job and I don't want to find another job. So that's a question you should ask. So these are the set of questions in which I'll pose into this here. And please ask yourself this. Write down, open the pad, write down and see where you stand. All right, share it with us, and let us comment further. Okay, be critical, be transparent. Okay. Okay, now about a success story under the PASG grant. Okay, we are closing to the end, and I've taken a lot of time, so I'm trying to streamline this. So, Mei Hyong Yun Dessert Private Limited, they have adopted the PSG solution under the POS system, in which they have saved money in for the adoption of that POS system. Okay, this is quite clear cut. These are plenty here. I'm not going to focus on this cases study, and now we're going to talk about EDG. Okay, so under the EDG scope, there are three main pillars: core capabilities, innovation, and production market access. Okay, so I'm just going to explain to you what core capabilities are. Okay, under development, financial, human capital, service excellence, and strategic brand. Now, of all of this, which one do you think is the most popular grant, sector, or pillar? I bet a lot of people are looking at brand and marketing development, right? Yeah. So you're right. Essentially, you're right. Okay. But there's personally to me, it all depends on the sector. If I'm a restaurant, yes. If I'm selling F&B, or if I'm selling goods, sports goods, yes. But if I am a school, okay, if I'm a tuition center, right, service excellence comes to my priority. I want good feedback, right? And if I am a what do you call car workshop, right? Which one do you think? Service excellence again, right? So we need to understand which one you call and which project you're embarking on. Then we'll identify what's the best route. Okay, so under EDG, innovation and productivity, there's automation. Now, recently, automation. Now, I just want to highlight again, coming back to the sector, EDG doesn't cover equipment, okay, hardwares, okay. It's much more focusing because hardwares are considered under CAPEX, right? So these are not solutions that you should look into. So automation consists of softwares, right, to simplify your business processes. Okay, so process redesign, product development. Product development is quite self-explanatory, and product design is much more on looking how you can streamline your internal process. I'm not going to touch this because I think in today's topic, these are available, right? These are reachable. I'm more interested in market access. Sorry, I'm more interested in how you should pivot, and just not the use with pivot, and moving a BMT, a business model transformation for the company. Now, the EDG market access is much more for mergers and acquisitions and adoptions. It's much more on expanding into new geographical markets, right? So this is also part and partial. It's aligned with the MRA grant. Okay. So, of course, the EDG grant covers up to %. Okay, it says just software and equipment, but only specific equipment, right? So you will probably need to actually emphasize and put all of these details into the BGP, and then later have a look around. There's of course, we can find out more, and of course, speak to us for more information, and we will explain to you the process. Okay. Let's take a success story for EDG. Okay, Gifitometry International, they have adopted an e-commerce website offering wholesale. So corporate gifts. So what they've done is they have created, okay, from a brick and mortar, I've moved into e-commerce. So this is a topic that I want to touch on. This is a topic that I wanted to say that, is this pivoting, or is this an expansion of the services? So that is where we come into our final topic for the day, is business model transformation. Okay, so this is a success story. That's me, by the way, the one without the hair on the right-hand side. This is one of our advisories done. Okay, Miss Yvonne, she has agreed to share this information. Okay, as you can see that it's highlighted in Zaobao and also in Business Times. But coming back to the first article is this. Okay, in a nutshell, she was a pub owner. She has 5 pubs altogether. Okay, and they were doing well, relatively well during before the pandemic. But when the pandemic hits, all night markets were impact very badly. All right. So she's approached us and she says, "How do we move from here? You know, how do we do another thing? Do we do a?" And most nightlife business, they say from a pub they convert to a kitchen, right? Which doesn't work. the successful rate is very, very low. So what we have came and what we have discussed previously is to look into what they call sailing into uncharted areas. So what she has created is OTD, a company, right, that does delivery service. So she's basically extending. She's no longer doing. She has an alcohol license, right? So she's delivering this alcohol license, not delivering, delivering this alcohol products of hers to certain to her customers, right? So she's extending, moving, transforming the whole business structure to say that my bistro is no longer going to be a bistro. My bistro is going to be as a warehouse where I order my alcohol, I order my food, I order my items there. I'm going to start delivering. And the company OTD was highlighted, as you can see, in what they call Business Times, and also in Zabao and a few other articles out there. So in a nutshell, okay, we've assisted her accordingly in pushing and maneuvering the flow of her in coming back to the what they call to the path where she's doing very well, and she's also embarking on a few other projects with SPOM and few other projects in place, in which we will update you later. Okay, so last but not least, again, to repeat, we do have a template that we want to share, and we are at the end of the session, and I would like to say thank you everybody for giving me your most best attention. I truly appreciate. I've left my details, our details on the SME Center here, so please take a picture or a screenshot of it and feel free to contact us or email us accordingly, and we are more than happy to assist each and every one of you. So again, I would like to thank everyone for your participation, and Deskera and SME Center, team at SME Center, and of course the team at Enterprise for arranging this session. Again, thank you very much and good afternoon. Please post some of the questions that you have out there, and I'll be along the line to actually read it out. Thank you again, everybody, and over to you, back to you, Sneha. Thank you, everyone.
Mike. We had one query requesting for advisory services, and I think it will flash the last slide again at the end of the session. So if you have any queries, please write into us or access us through our website. One of our dedicated business advisors will be in touch to assist you, right? To also, there is feedback, a QR code or a link will be flashed up later. Do help us to complete the feedback form so we can email you the slides after the presentation as well. So now it's over to you, Sarab, for Deskera's session.
Thank you, Sneha. And hi, everyone. Mike, thank you for an amazing session. It was very informative. And there was one question that I saw, or rather one comment from M Cooking when we were talking about which areas we want to, which areas do people want to focus on when they are talking about getting help for growth and expanding their business. And brand and marketing was one of the topics that M Cooking mentioned there. So let's talk about that for maybe a few minutes, and then we jump into the presentation, which is about accelerating business growth. So for brand and marketing, and Mike, please feel free to pitch in, based on your understanding and your experiences in helping businesses get better with brand visibility, right? What I have seen is that with the world going online, and that going online obviously being accelerated by COVID in the last couple of years, correct, has made it essential for everybody to have a very strong, solid presence online. And saying that you have a strong, solid online presence is not sufficient. You obviously have to have actionable steps to go ahead and get that done. And how you can do that real quickly and real easily is, one, have your website and your store online. All right. If you have not done it already, make sure you go ahead and set it up ASAP. And there are so many tools that are available now that make it super easy for you to set up your website, to set up your store, connect it to online payment gateways, and start having that presence online, and start getting ranked on search engines, etc. So you can use Deskera to set up your website and e-commerce store. There is Shopify, there is WooCommerce. Multiple options are available today, right? Now, once you have your website and e-commerce store set up, then what you want to do is you want to invest in organic and performance marketing to grow your brand's visibility. One way to do that is to become a leader on associated topics for your products. So, for example, let's say that I am selling construction material, right? Then you have to understand the branding perspective of I mean, you have to look at the branding and marketing perspective of from the viewpoint of your audience, that okay, what are they interested in, and you want to be on their peripheral vision at all times whenever they're looking for anything that is related to their business. So if you have a nice blog, if you have a community in place, if you are active on social media, then you automatically will start creating your your brand value in the public space and the public domain. And that is gradually and eventually how you will keep building your brand. And obviously there are ways to accelerate that, and we will be talking about that in the next set of presentation. Mike, what are your thoughts?
Yes, very good. I just wanted to share also about this. I think this is it's a very popular topic, right? Thank you. Cooking, right? Just now I can't see your name very well. Yes, cooking, very unique name, cooking. Okay, so now the brand and marketing component, we've noticed also in terms of grants and applications, we noticed there is a huge portions under virtual branding. All right. The main difference between virtual branding and the standard adoption of branding are very, very different. Now, you may think that, virtual branding consists me of, putting what I call my brands on a virtual platform and then moving forward on virtually. That's not how it is. Now, a virtual branding platforms are where this is also recently very new to me also, whereby companies adopt certain consultancy services, right? And this covers under EDG, right? And once they've noticed that these companies already have what they call a platform, a virtual platform that they can adopt with, right? And then from there, they use that, right, to say that now if you're going to put one brand in, all right, and put my secondary brand in or my tertiary brand in, that's going to give you different results, right? So rather than being adoptive to say that, hey, I'm just going to put in my resources there, I'm going to start rebranding myself, it's better to start having that platform. Let's start understanding what is the impact rather than to say, I just go gung-ho, So I think that's an important element. Do take note. It's a very good question. I love to answer these questions. Let us know further. Thanks again, Sarah. Thanks. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mike. And with that, let's jump into our session here, which is about accelerating business growth with digital transformation. Now, going digital, we keep hearing that word, right? Go digital. Everybody is asking small businesses to go digital. And the obvious question is, how, right? How do I go digital? If I go digital, then obviously there are going to be costs. How do I offset those costs? And what are the steps that I can take to go digital, and is going digital actually going to solve any actual real world practical problems for my business? These are some of the questions that small businesses have had, and we are going to address this, and we will look at a 6-step digital transformation cycle, which will help you to go from being non-digital to completely digital and get the maximum benefit. And we'll also look at what are the different ways to offset your costs and investments in the going digital process. So let's move on. Now, why SMEs? Obviously, because Singapore is driven by SMEs. 270,000 SMEs in Singapore. 99% of the total businesses in Singapore are SMEs, and they employ close to 3/4 of the population. So obviously, the impact of SMEs going digital is going to be huge for the entire economy, for the entire ecosystem, and for everybody who is in Singapore. So, what are the problems that SMEs have? The 4 biggest problems that we have seen, that we have based on our data, is one, being cash flow. So you raise an invoice, you send it out, you have to wait for 60 days to get paid. Then after 60 days, you have to follow up to get the invoices paid. And then you have to, send reminders and do follow-ups. One person is basically all the time just chasing for getting the payment done to make sure that you have the enough cash to pay your employees, to make sure that you're paying your vendors on time, but you also have to get that money in. So managing all of this can be tricky and extremely time consuming. Then obviously the second thing is that to increase your cash flow, one way is to generate more revenue. But to generate more revenue, you need to have better customer acquisition practices in place. And customer acquisition traditionally has been super expensive or dependent on the existence of networks, and that has been both a barrier to entry, especially for new businesses or for smaller businesses who do not have that option available to them. But now there are ways to circumvent that, to pass that and actually go into the growth mode immediately once you have the basics of your business set up using digital processes, and we will be looking at that. Then the third problem that they have is human resources. So for human resource management, right, making sure that the employees are paid on time is just the start of the human resource question. Then you also have to make sure that the employees are happy. As Mike mentioned in his uh, presentation earlier, right, 49% of people are looking to quit because of various reasons, right? And one way to mitigate that is to have a multiple touch points with your employees, right? And to make sure that whatever that the employees need is happening quickly, it's happening immediately, their needs are being addressed. And going digital is an important step in getting there. But in addition to just the employee management part, you also have to make sure that you're fully compliant with multiple government regulations, like CPF and IRA submissions, and SINDA and CDAC and MBMF and whatnot. And these rules keep getting updated every couple of years. And if you are not up to date, then you may be unknowingly in violation of certain requirements. And before and you definitely don't want to be in that situation. And one way to avoid that is by going digital and letting a software take care of it. And then we will talk about the cost of digitalization, because some people understand this, many businesses understand this, but they are deterred by the increasing cost, or what they term as the amount of money that they might need to invest to go digital, and a lack of clarity in terms of what that cost is going to get them back. And that is what we will be addressing today. So, cash flow. How can you solve cash flow problems with digitalization? All right. So, one way to do that, and there are some quick ways here, and then obviously there are other options that we will talk about. So, the quick and easy way is to go online with your invoicing and your money collection. So that's like the immediate first step that you can take. What do I mean by online invoicing? What you are doing is that you are automating your invoicing process. If you have recurring invoices, for example, then go ahead and set it up as a reminder in an accounting software like Deskera, where you can just set up the rules for creation of invoices against specific customers for specific products or services that you offer, and let it run on autopilot. What it will do is it will create the invoice, it will send the invoice, it will insert the payment link in the invoice, and it will send reminders and follow-ups to get paid. Now, what is the advantage? While it may seem like a simple enough process, the fact is that close to 20% of an admin's time is just going up in following up for payment of invoices every month. And that's a lot of time. I mean, if you think about it, that's like 5 to 6 days or a week of time that is just spent in following up for different invoices, creating the invoice, printing it, sending it, and so on, and then reconciling the payment, getting that payment entered in your accounting software. So many steps that you negate just by automating the invoicing process, and free up a lot of time for your admins, for your salespeople, for your accounting person, and for yourself, right? And you have a steady stream of cash coming in. One of the main reasons why people don't get paid on time or businesses don't get paid on time is because of inflexible payment options, and you can completely circumvent that by providing multiple payment options and including online payment options in your invoice scheme. So if you have, for example, Stripe or PayPal or TransferWise or DBS Payla or OCBC Pay Now as payment options, correct? Obviously, there will be some upper limits around that, so you cannot use all of them for every kind of transaction. But I mean, if you're using a Stripe, then you can pretty much go to any number, right? If you have these, right, then you are making it easy for your customers to pay you, and the ease of and that ease of payment is going to translate into lesser aging time for your invoices. Statistics show that using online payments can reduce the time taken to get paid by up to 5 times. So if you are getting paid in 60 days on an average, then with online payments, that same time period is on an average 12 to 14 days. And that's a big improvement, because that is actual cash in your account, which you can use, versus something that is sitting in account receivables, which is there, which looks nice, but you cannot pay your employees with that, right? Or you cannot pay your vendors with your account receivables. You have to have actual cash to pay your employees or pay your vendors, correct? Then another area where cash is stuck for small businesses is in inventory. On an average, for every $1 of sale that business is doing, there is close to $1.50 of inventory sitting in warehouses. And you definitely don't want a scenario like that. What you would want is for this ratio to be as close to 1:1 as possible. And we have done an inventory management masterclass webinar, which is available on our YouTube channel. So go ahead and watch that for more details about how you can get better inventory management results. But that is one area which you must focus to improve your cash flow, because the lesser cash you are putting in your inventory, the more cash you have available in your bank account. And chances are you don't even need that much inventory sitting in your warehouse. If you are looking at your inventory turnover ratios, your day sales of inventory, and your economic order quantities and minimum order quantities, and you have a reorder mechanism implemented, then you will immediately see that the ratio of inventory sitting to inventory sold will slowly start coming towards 1:1 instead of 1:1.5 or even worse, right? In Now the funny part is that most businesses don't even know these numbers for their inventory today. And if your business is one of those, then immediate way to fix that is to get an inventory software that lets you view these numbers, that gives you real-time updates on your inventory movement, your reorder points, your economic order quantities, your day sales in inventory, etc. And all of these will help you to then better manage your inventory, to have better control on your inventory. And please make sure that if your business has inventory, make sure that you watch our inventory management masterclass on our YouTube channel. It's available there for free. And then one way to the last way that we can look at to solve cash flow problems is invoice factoring. So what is invoice factoring? Invoice factoring is, I would say, maybe not the first thing that you should go for, but one of the things that you can consider if you are in urgent need of cash. So there are multiple services that allow you to factor your invoice or give you loans on your invoices that are pending payment. And typically how that works is that they will pay you up to maybe 90% of the invoice value, and then they will take the money from your customer. But so while you're losing out on the 10%, which is basically the money that they're making, the invoice factoring company is making, what you are doing is that you are getting an immediate injection of cash in your business. You can also take loans against pending invoices instead of just doing an outright factoring of the invoice. And these are some mechanisms that you can look out for if you are in an immediate need of cash flow injection. Let us quickly take a look at, I'll just take 2 minutes to take you through Deskera and how you can manage your inventory and have multiple payment options, etc. There. So here we go. Let me take you to, and I'll share my screen here real quick. Okay, there you go. So if you are using an integrated invoicing, accounting, inventory software like Deskera, then you don't have to worry about maintaining multiple softwares, right? And you can quickly set up your online invoicing, accounting, and payment like in a matter of minutes. So, for example, let's say that this is your first time in Deskera, then you will see something like this, and you can go ahead and just start creating your new invoice. And this is PayPal ready. So you can use e-invoicing with Deskera. You just need to enter your PayPal ID and you will be able to send e-invoices, which is, by the way, a mandatory thing, especially if you have government contracts or if you're sending invoices to government, then you need to use e-invoicing. So if your system, so with Deskera, you get the e-invoicing option as well. Now you can add an invoice here in like a few minutes. And you can set up payment methods. So if you have already set up your payment methods here, like the Stripe or PayPal or whatever, DBS or whatever other payment option that you use, then it will become visible here, and you can just choose that. If you have not set it up already, then it will just ask you to set it up and connect your Deskera account, and that is it. Once you save, then you can send this in a design of your choice, and your customer will get it, and you can automate this sending out and doing follow-up and reminders and whatnot. So, I mean, it's that easy to digitalize your invoicing, accounting, and payment cycle. And along with this, if you have inventory as well, then you can manage all your inventory in one place. There are multiple options for you to do stock adjustments, stock transfer, view at stock availability by warehouse, and look at all the different matrices that we were talking about. So coming back to our presentation, all right, let me go back to the presentation here. So that is how you can solve cash flow, right? Then acquiring new customers. So customer acquisition is a different ball game in 2021 now. You cannot hold those mega events anymore where people will come to your booth and you can give them a booklet and they will take it and then they will read about you. You do not have the option to go door to door to sell anything, right? Shops are sometimes not open, right? People are not going outside anymore, or I mean, it's not like they don't want to, but yeah, I mean, that's the world that we live in. That's the new normal, correct? Large gatherings are not happening, but that doesn't mean that we stop selling, right? We cannot do that. So what is the solution? We have to learn to exist in the new normal, and the way to do that is to have a solid, strong online presence for your business and for yourself. And how do we do that, and how do we use that to get more customers, right? That is the question that we'll address here. So number one thing is to have your website and your e-commerce store set up, right? Now you can do that in multiple ways. You can set up your your website and your e-commerce using Deskera. You can do it using Shopify. You can do it using WordPress, WooCommerce, BigCommerce. I mean, there are so many options available, right? But the important thing is to get it out there, to set it up, right? Once you have set it up, then I mean, that is just the start of the process. You cannot stop there. You have to go ahead and start acquiring new leads and then transferring them to your sales funnel. And sales funnels is the concept that you want to remember, that you want to implement and execute and understand really well, that what is a sales funnel and how do you use it and how do you use that to convert your customers, right? So when you think of a funnel, right, I mean, it's something that tapers slowly as it comes down, right? It's an inverted pyramid. And when you have a website or an e-commerce site, right, then anybody who's coming to your website or anybody who's coming into contact with your social media account or who is showing interest in your brand or whatever, right, they are all at the top of that funnel. Now what you have to do is that you need to have a set of landing pages that will eventually make these visitors and people who have awareness of your brand and who have shown some interest in your brand to a more conversion oriented page where actual transactions will take place. Now how do you make these transactions take place? Now imagine that somebody walks into your shop or you are meeting a client for the first time face to face, right? What are the questions that they're going to ask you? How do you establish credibility with them? Correct. How do you show them what you have? How do you tell them what value proposition you have? All of this has to be a part of your landing pages. All of this has to be a part of your sales funnel. And once you have landing pages that kind of take that conversation one step at a time and get the user to buy in a little more, is when you will start seeing online sales picking up, right? It is not just enough to have your website and e-commerce store and then wait for you to people are not just going to convert by themselves. You need to have your sales funnel in place to convert people, right? To convert them into a paying customer. And you have to transform your selling cycle, which is offline, to online, and you can do that by sales funnel, right? So remember this word sales funnel, and understand how to set it up. The good thing is that Deskera can help you in this entire process. So it will have your website and e-commerce setup. You can build sales funnels using Deskera. You can create amazing landing pages that kind of model your interaction with the customer in a digital format and put it online easily. And then all of this information is going to be captured in the Deskera CRM tool, where you can then further nurture your leads, your prospects. Because let's remember that, right? Not everybody who walks into your shop ends up being a customer, right? Similarly, not everybody who walks, who lands on your landing page or goes into your sales funnel will end up becoming a paid customer. There will be always a conversion ratio, correct? Now, obviously the ones who are converted, you have to nurture them, but you also want to nurture those who have not converted. Because unlike a physical store, here you have a very powerful tool called email campaigns or email broadcast. When somebody is coming to your site online, you have their digital footprint, and you can use that, obviously after having their consent, to nurture them, send them better deals. And you can do this at a super low cost and a very high ROI by using email campaigns. In fact, email campaigns and email broadcasting and drip campaigns are considered to be one of the best investment of money and the highest ROIs among all digital marketing channels. And we did a webinar on that as well, where we went into the depth of running email campaigns, how to structure them, what are the best practices, and how you can easily set up your own. It's available on our YouTube channel. Please go ahead and take a look. Now that you have your website and e-commerce and sales funnel and CRM and campaigns, and your customers are coming in, right? What's next, right? It's the people, your employees, the folks that work for you. And how can you make things transparent for them, accessible for them, easy for them, right? And in addition to that, it's your compliance side and the legal side, right? You want to make sure that you are saving time, you are improving everyone's productivity, and you are compliant with all the regulations and the payments and whatnot. Otherwise, you want to avoid those penalties, right? So how do we do that? You do that by digitalizing your leaves and claims process. Why? Because if you, we did a survey for about 50 of our customers, and we spoke to their employees, and the most common feedback that we got was that the reason why people were not, I would say, unhappy, but slightly frustrated, right? And these frustrations tend to build up over a period of time, is because anytime they wanted to take a leave or they wanted to get an expense, processed, they had to fill out a few forms. They had to follow up with their manager for letting them know. Then the manager would check whether that a leave is possible or not. And this entire cycle can take a long time, correct? And what happens because of this is that your planned leaves start going down, and your unplanned leaves start going up. So more people start falling sick, or they have emergencies that they need to take care of, because uh, the planning process is not in place. And that kind of hits your productivity, hits your employees' productivity, hits the business's productivity, and it hits your bottom line, because all of a sudden you have to deal with manpower shortage. Correct? How can you avoid that? By having an online digital system, right? What if the employee could simply log into their app? On the mobile app, they can just quickly send a request for leave. Immediately the manager gets a notification. The manager can see that this employee has applied for a leave on so and so date, and on that particular date, this is the manpower situation, and uh, this is the leave balance of the employee, and so on. All that information is clearly visible. Then the manager doesn't have to do research. They don't have to then call up the HR person and find out, hey, can I give this person leave or not? They have all the information that they need right there on their mobile app, and they can just go ahead and approve the leave or reject the leave depending on what the situation might be. So it immediately reduces the time taken to process one single leave application by about 75%. And it is so much more better for the employee, for the manager, and for the poor HR who has to dig out all this information and then get back to that manager, and that person will have 15 other managers calling them, asking them for details and information and whatnot. So just a simple digitalization of the leave process management can save so much time for your HR, for your managers, and for your employee, and also create a transparent environment in your organization, because the employee can see that, okay, this is the status of my leave. It has been rejected, it has been approved, so they are not in the dark anymore, and that is important. Same thing you can do for your claims process. Similar and one of the biggest problems that people have with claims process is that they have to attach everything. They have to take scans, and they have to keep backups, and they have to take photocopies and get signatures and then submit it and whatnot. You can easily eliminate that by doing the entire thing through a mobile app, right? uh, Take your mobile app, take a picture of the receipt. The receipt gets uploaded along with the details being captured through some sort of artificial intelligence and machine learning and OCR into the claims form, which is then submitted automatically to the manager. You can set rules that, okay, if the claim is above a certain amount or for a certain project, then it needs approval. Otherwise, it can be auto approved and sent to finance, who can then again have similar rules for their workflow. And you can just automate this entire thing instead of creating a claim, sending it via email to one person, then that person checks it, then they have to send it over to somebody else, then that person do it, and then somebody forgets or somebody is on leave, and the entire thing gets stuck. So you don't want to do that. And that is what uh, digitalizing the claims process can do. It just makes your entire staff more productive, which means more sales, more customers acquired, right? More orders processed, and so on. An extension of this would be then digital payroll processing and online salary disbursement. Now, I mean, so many people are working remotely, right? And if you're still disbursing salary through checks, etc., then don't do that anymore, right? I mean, it's inefficient, number one, because you need the check to be created, somebody has to sign it, then it has to be handed over. You have to be sure that the right check is handed to the right person. You did not misspell the name, you did not put the wrong number of zeros. I mean, so many things that you have to take care of when you are writing a check. You can eliminate all of that. Just use gyro or online options, correct? uh, Transfer the money directly. I mean, process the payroll digitally. The system will auto calculate the the payroll, the CPF, the mandatory deductions. It will calculate. It will know, because you have your leaves and claims synced and already digital. All that information will flow into the payslip. So you know, if there is any unpaid leave, then that gets deducted. If there are any expenses or claims to be paid out, they get added, right? And then this entire information is nicely set up in a gyro file, which you can just send to your bank to process that. And once that is done, the CPF e-submission file is generated. which is then sent via an API to the CPF portal. So you don't even have to, download it, upload it, or go to the CPF site, log in, then fill out those 50 different fields there. None of that is needed, and everybody saves a lot of time here, and all of that time is the time that you can invest in your growth tactics, in your growth strategies, in making more sales, in satisfying more customers. And that is where all your time ideally should be going. So before we move on to the next slide, let's just check if there are any questions. So
Question on your email address for the email address. So SME Mike says Mike.
oh, okay, yeah, let's get Mike in for this question.
Yes, I can't hear. Can you repeat the question again?
The cooking is asking about the email.
The email address that was showed earlier
okay.
was advisory. I think there's something
Okay,
wrong there, or is that the correct
maybe
email address?
maybe there's a typo for this. I'm cooking. Why don't you just leave us your email address, okay, in the chat? Then we will contact you directly. So at least to avoid this issue, we're not asking for your mobile number. Just your email address is fine. Okay. Of course, your details will not be shared due to any PDPC clauses. We only use it for this directory and for this inquiry only. So I hope you can just.
I would not suggest to put that in the chat because the chat is public. So don't do that. But you can. I think this is the correct one, right? Advisory at SME Center -SMCCI.
No. The right one is based on my screen. Let me just share my screen.
Okay.
Okay. Give me 1 minute. Let me see the screen. This one. Okay. There's a .sg, right? Do you see this email?
G advisory. Okay. So
Yes.
please take note.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Then,
Okay.
let me see. So, right. So, Mike Cooking is saying, yeah, without customer acquisition, there is no cash flow. That is absolutely true. I completely agree with that sentiment. But it goes both ways, actually. So if you don't have cash flow, then you will find it harder to acquire customers also, because you won't have enough number of employees or the resources that you need. So there has to be a balance, of course. But yeah, I mean, getting more customers is the surest way to increase cash flow. Then there is one more question here from Cooking: increasing brand visibility only through online. So you can do it through traditional steps as well, right? But I mean, if you look at the world around you, right? I mean, and especially in the new normal, right? I mean, everything is going online, correct? And if you don't have an online presence, then chances are that, I mean, the return of investment that you will get, the ROI that you will get on online branding practices, whether organic or inorganic, paid or performance or whatever, right? The return of investment that you would get is going to be exponentially higher than traditional marketing, which is limited by in its very nature. Even if you are a local business, correct? Even if you are operating, let's say, in only one district, correct? Even then, having a solid online presence is going to help you, right? Because when people are searching for, so I'll give you an example, right? When I'm searching for food to order, right? Initially, I would go ahead and I mean, obviously, there is the option to go online, to go to Food Panda and Deliveroo, etc. But sometimes I would also Google and check, okay, amazing places near me, right? Or great food near me, or I would pick up, okay, best bihun shop near me, and uh, Google will give me localized results first. And if you are not visible in that, correct, if your competitor is visible there, chances are I'm going to click on their name, and that is going to create one level of brand visibility. I mean, it's going to add one point to their brand visibility in my head, and that is your average consumer, right? So that's how people are searching today. I mean, they are always going to go online and check. Even if you have a shop today, right? People will go and type the shop name and reviews after that to see as to what others say about you. Do you have any social proof? Do you have any social validation? And that is driving customer decision today. That is the reality. I mean, that's how things are, and we have to adapt our business, even if it's a B2B environment, correct? Um People are going and looking at these social validations. They're looking at your online presence. They're looking at what kind of uh, what kind of an online image you have, right? And that is what is uh, going to be very important. Okay, there's a question from XT. Oops. Yeah. So does Deskera prohibit affiliate marketing in terms of email campaigns like MailChimp? No, no, we don't. I mean, we are not prohibiting affiliate marketing. Uh, there are obviously certain guidelines that you should follow, right? And there are multiple options here. When you're using Deskera CRM email campaigns, right? Then you have the option to set up your own SMTP, your own email servers, and use that. And then Deskera becomes your contact storage area and your lead and segment storage area, and you can send everything through your own email server, and that is like in your control, obviously, correct? So what you're doing is you're setting, I mean, you're just creating the campaign structure with Deskera, but you're using your own email server to send it. And if you're doing that, then it's completely in your control. Okay. All right. So let's jump to the uh, presentation, and let's look at the digitalization cost, which is what prevents a lot of small businesses from going through with digitalization efforts, because they're not sure of how much it's going to cost, and if they can get any support there or not. So the good news is that there are multiple grants that are available that you can make use of, with obviously certain pre-approved software like Deskera. Sorry about that, somebody's phone. So you can use certain pre-approved software like Deskera to get grants that have been put in place by the Singapore government, and SMECCI SMCCI is in a great position to help you with more information about that. But you can also contact us if you to see how Deskera and PSG, or Deskera and DRB, or Deskera and EDG can be applied to your business for your particular use case, right? And we did an extensive webinar talking about all these three grants, all the criterias, and how you can get it approved by using Deskera, plus all the questions and answers. So we have that webinar live on the YouTube channel. Please go ahead and take a look at that, and it will give you in-depth information about it. We also have a slide show, or a presentation rather, that explains all of that and more. The link will be there in the last slide, and we'll leave that in the description of the YouTube channel, and it will be mailed out to everybody who attended or registered for the webinar as well. So make sure you go ahead and get a copy for that. Now that we know that, okay, there are digitalization cost offsetting options available, right? And we know the importance of digitalization and how it can help with cash flow, with managing better employee management, right? How it can help you with better branding and marketing and acquiring new customers, right? Then how you should go about setting up your digital business. Or so step one is to digitalize your invoicing and online payments, because that is going to have a direct positive impact on your cash flow and your time that you're going to save in all the manual follow-ups and admin work that you're doing. Then obviously with your invoicing and payments in place, you want to have an accounting system that is also online, because accounting system is the backbone of your business. Accounting has to be there. You cannot run a business without accounting, and whatever you do, you have to transfer it back to your accounting system somehow. Correct? You have your banks, all that bank information has to flow into your accounting system, all your inventory information has to flow into your accounting system, all your payments, all your invoices, all your supplier details, all your customer details, everything essentially at the end of the day has to flow into your accounting system. Even your payroll, right? The payments that you're making to the government, the GST forms and payments and declarations and whatnot, everything has to go and sit in the accounting system. So you need to have an online accounting system uh, to save you and your accountants and your employees a lot of time, which you can then use to generate more cash, right? So once you have these three in place, then you want to go online and start setting up your funnels, your campaigns, your nurture trails, right? To start converting more customers online. And online, you can then start to plan to reach out to different geographies. I mean, why limit yourself to one geography, one center? Once you're online and you have the right tools in place, correct? There is absolutely no reason why you can't be selling in 10 countries instead of one. And this can happen at a fraction of the cost, right? Even if you have inventory that you need to deliver, there are so many options available today. There are so many great fulfillment options available today. You can even use drop shipping to fulfill international orders. And we did a dropship masterclass, by the way, just last week, I think, and we have covered dropshipping in a great detail there. So make sure, use dropshipping as an option to explore expanding into international markets. It makes it super easy and very cost effective without having to invest, hundreds of thousands of dollars just to set up a warehouse somewhere else and then make sure that your supply chain is managed. So dropshipping has a strategic advantage for your business to expand, and because you have online presence, you can easily scale that. There is absolutely no need to get multiple warehouses, tens of people to hire in different countries. No, use dropship, use your website, use your online store, expand and grow. And once you have these things in place, then you have your CRM and email campaigns to manage all your incoming customer data and to nurture them, to keep nurturing them, to make them come back to you. So once you do this, then your entire sales, purchase, and inventory and accounting is digitalized, which is essentially like most of your business, right? I mean, you are selling things, you are buying things, you are acquiring new customers, you are managing your inventory to keep your cost down. All of this is digitalized in 5 steps. And then you obviously want to keep your employees happy, and you put your HRMS system in place, create a transparent work environment, right? And that is easily done by having mobile app for your employees, having online HRMS for your employees, right? So in 6 steps, you can digitalize the core business functions of your entire business, and that is it. I mean, you will immediately start seeing results. And the good thing is that you can do all of these 6 things with Deskera, right? You don't even need to think too much about, okay, what do I need for invoicing, what do I need for website, whatever that I take for my accounting, will it integrate with my website, will my CRM send my data over to my accounting system, will my accounting system send the updated data to my CRM, will my HR will my inventory be updated in my e-commerce store? Nothing to worry about. It's all streamlined. It's all there. You just go ahead, get Deskera, you get the grants, you get you can be eligible for EDG or DRB or PSG, or there are a couple of other options, right? I mean, if you drop us a line, we can help you with that. But I mean, your entire business process streamlined. That is it. You don't have to worry about anything, with one single solution. Obviously there are other options and you can go and explore them, but definitely give that a try. So with that, we come to an end of this presentation. right? I mentioned about the SME grants guide earlier. So here is the URL, and we will put this in the description of the video as well. And there is a QR code here, which you can scan to give your feedback about this session. So please do that. We definitely look forward to receiving and hearing from you and receiving feedback. So Mike, do you have something to add?
Well, thank you first, Sabra, for the very elaborative presentation. I'm so enlightened with the capabilities. Of course, I would like to add on to XT's question about email campaign. Now, in terms of coming from the PC courses, right? I think it's important whenever there is an effort to blast certain emails, even though that the environment of PDPA covers B2C, and in your context maybe B2B, it's always advised to have a consent statement at the end of the what do you call the email details that's going to be blasted. So the consent statement will stipulate something of this sort. I hereby, if you do not want to receive, etc., etc. We do have all of this information. So do get in touch with us. Then we'll share the details accordingly and let you know what is the right and proper approach, so to avoid any implications that may arise. I think that's about it on my end. I'll pass it back over to you, Subra. Yeah.
Thanks, Mike. So, I mean, yeah, that's an interesting point that you brought up, right? And the right way to do that is that so the right way to do that is that you actually collect and get the consent of the email, of sending the email from the person who owns it. So what is the right way to do that is that you create a resource. All right. So you create a resource, let's say a guide or a white paper or maybe a catalog of products which you put on your site, and you can promote that through social media or whatever. And then you have a landing page, right? You have a landing page with a form where you can ask the person that, okay, please enter your email to download this. And there is a consent box at the bottom that you can put that, okay, I consent to receiving the emails from your company, etc., etc., right? And then when they download it, you get that information, and that is when you have a solid email address that is interested in your brand, in the products that you offer, right? And will go ahead and receive email from you willingly, and you will be building your brand value for with that particular subscriber. And that is how you expand and build your email list, right? So this is the right way to do it, correct? And hopefully, so you have to be compliant with CAN Spam Act and PDPA and obviously other things, right? So that goes, that has to be there. But the right way to build your email list is to understand what your audience wants. Your audience obviously wants what you are offering, right? That's there. But you want to start at a slightly higher level. What are some of the tangential things that will be useful to them? So for example, right, let's say that you are I'll take example of construction material, right? Or let's say that you are in the F&B industry, correct? So end of the day, you're selling food and beverages, right? But what is your audience interested in? They are interested in having a good time, right? Food is all about having a good time. It's not just about eating, right? It's about having a good time, about having an experience, right? And you can maybe share some recipe templates, right? That, okay, you can make excellent xiao long bao, with if you follow this recipe, and have that as a guide available on your site or as a resource that you can promote, or on social media and through some other channels. And then when people want to download, you get the email. So now when you get the email and the information through this way, it is with their consent, it is absolutely fine for you to use it. And then you can use this to reach out to them, so that, okay, CNY is coming up, right? So you send them an offer that, hey, order from us or eat at our place and you get 30% discount. which you otherwise would not be able to reach out to them at all. Correct, because you don't have that information, but you have taken their information by giving them something of value and having their consent, and now you have visibility in their inbox, which is more important than anything else, right? So that's one way that, so that's how you create your email list over a period of time, right?
Closing remarks.
All right, so we'll close off this session for now. And Mike, any closing remarks from you?
I believe there is XT has just raised another concern. It was written just wondering because so far only MailChimp prohibits affiliated marketing out there for all email autoresponders. Maybe you would like to answer that on behalf of Deskera? Do
Yeah,
you
so
see the
I think we answered that earlier, XT, right?
Oh,
I
okay,
mean,
okay. Sorry,
if you
sorry.
connect
Yeah.
your own email servers, then it's your server, right? So it's in your control. What happens with
Okay.
Mailchimp is that they're using their server to send it.
Yeah.
So
The chat server,
so
yeah.
because they're taking that liability, they have more restrictions in place, I guess.
Okay.
But if it's your own server, then just go ahead and do it as you want.
Yes. Well, about my any closing remarks, I think I just want to say thank you, of course, Sarah and the team at Deskera, and of course our team with Enterprise and SME Center, respectively. Just wanted to highlight that if you do have issues contacting us, you can of course go to our website also, okay, respectively at the given screen as I've shown just now, and then the details will be provided. I think we have also updated the email address due to the slight typo just now, and feel free to contact us, and we are more than glad to assist everyone accordingly. Again, I want to say thank you to all participants and everyone in the collaboration of doing this. We are very excited to hear any good news or any inquiries, in which we will address them in due time. Thank you again, Supra and the team, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mike. And please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As I mentioned, there are multiple webinars coming your way, and we will do another joint webinar, very soon with SME Center in the future as well. So please make sure you subscribe so you get all the updates, all the amazing, tips and tricks to grow your business. I mean, it's all going to be there, coming live to you regularly. So make sure you have subscribed so you don't miss out on some awesome growth hacking tips and tricks for your business. All right, thank you so much, and
Thank
have
you
a
all.
very good
Thanks.
day. Goodbye.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thanks.